Hello, my friends. Welcome back. So, today I want to give you an update of some of my latest insights since I've stopped doing ayahuasca. In 2018, I was able to complete 9 ceremonies, and in November, I decided that I was going to take a break. As you know, when you're doing Aya ceremonies, 5 hours is like 10 years of therapy. And for me, I received so much information. I had so many different downloads that I just couldn't keep up. And I felt like, okay, my decision to work with the plant was not to create another attachment. It was more so that she could help me. So it's time to chill and see what happens. I just didn't feel like, I needed to do it. And I didn't know until I was actually presented with the opportunity of doing another ceremony, and I was just like, no. And then another opportunity, and it's like, no. Just didn't feel like. But one of the things that I realized in this last 4 months is that once ayahuasca opens your subconscious mind, that door remains open. So even though I haven't been, doing ceremonies, I'm still purging. The work is still continuing. Now, when you are ready to do ayahuasca, one of the things that you have to do is set an intention. This is a very powerful energy because this relates to bringing a level of clarity as to what you want to do and what you want to achieve, and also how the universe will respond to that intention. So I have really learned to appreciate this energy. In my case, I chose to do the shadow side work. Why did I choose that? Well, at the end of 2017, I was breaking apart from a relationship. And this was that type of relationship that I thought it was going to really work. I thought that I had all the knowledge and the ingredients to make the relationship work. So I gave nothing but the best in that relationship. And what happened was that after a while, I just felt like I was carrying the whole load. And when I came to realize that it was time for me to stop, the person that I was with couldn't handle that, couldn't handle it, and he chose to bounce back to the person that he wanted to change from and started to reject me. Now, I could see that we were energetically and vibrationally growing apart, and I could handle that. But what I couldn't handle was the rejection. That really pushed some buttons. And that sort of put me into that space of, okay, what am I doing wrong? Because before I met this man, I thought I had to figure it out. I've been in this path for over 20 years. I've had Kundalini awakenings. I have done meditation. I've done all kinds of things. So you can imagine that by now it doesn't mean that I'm perfect, but at least I've gotten enough information to know better. I know that I create my reality, and I know that the people that come into my life is not by coincidence. So I knew that I had opened the door to this person, and I really believed that under the circumstances that we met, that this could really work. And yet, 4.5 years later, things are just falling apart. And then on the top of it, he starts behaving in a way that made me feel like shit. So from this place, you can imagine, of course I was ready to do something, and I didn't know right away that I was doing ayahuasca. I have to say that she called me. And once I figured out that it was this what I was supposed to do, then I started having more dreams and more, experiences that were letting me know that I was making the right choice. Now, in my first ceremony, My whole lesson was about how to love myself, what is unconditional love like, and if I really wanted to be of service to others, that I needed to start getting my shit together and start learning how to love myself. Because not until I do that, I couldn't be powerful enough to help anybody else. And then in the rest of my other ceremonies is that I was able to go into my shadow side. And that was intense. Because I'll tell you, one thing is feeling our anger and being angry and disappointed, and another thing is being in a reality where all of the energies of all of those moments that you've been angry and hurt and done negative thoughts to others and to yourself, I mean, that's where I was taken. And not just in this incarnation, in other incarnations, my ancestors, and also the shadow side of Mother Earth. So I was in a realm that was hellish. It was crazy, insane. I thought I was going to die. But anyways, so I had many different ceremonies, and it was all about teaching me about my shadow side and how to understand that. Da, da, da. So of course, you have this massive downloads, and you think, am I ever going to remember? But I was reassured that whenever I needed the information, that energy was going to come through. So just to chill. So I go through this situation with this man. That was sort of like the push to help me, just get in the path of doing this work. I do my ceremonies and I stop. I now realize that my subconscious mind, that shadow side, I'm still, have access to it. And as a matter of fact, I'm having moments where I'm remembering stuff about my childhood that I had forgotten. I am having emotions of things where all of a sudden I just feel like crying, or I feel like just running for my life. I mean, in the last 4 months, it's been highs and lows where it's insane. But when you're going through that, you don't know that you're still, purging. So it wasn't until 3 days ago when I finally felt like I shed this major, release of, garbage that I thought that I had dealt with a long time, that I realized, oh my God, ayahuasca was still working through me. She was still, my subconscious mind was still, letting out the things that my vibrational body has held in. Even though I had done the work, even though I had forgiven these people and I had forgiven myself, yet there was still much to release from my vibrational body. And so then, here I am, okay? So I'm interested in finding out about relationships, because what I want to do is be able to finally create a relationship that feels right to me. So I'm giving this memory of my childhood, and that was when I began to pick up this idea that I was not good enough, that I didn't deserve to be happy. And from that idea, I created many, 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 many different layers that created many beliefs that led me into attracting people like this partner of mine, my ex. Now, the interesting thing with him is that by this time, I had done a lot. I had done more than he was capable of doing. And this is when things got really juicy, because I came to realize that the reason why I would pick up these relationships is because to find my self-worth, I had this idea that I had to work really hard and be able to give information and knowledge to these people that I consider to be broken or challenged. And if I could help them, and they would choose to follow through and do as I said, that they would succeed. In return, they will come back to me and appreciate me and love me, and then I would be validated. It took a while for me to get this, but once I got it, I was like, how the fuck did I get this belief? That I, in order to feel validated or worthy of my own love and my own abundance that I have to fix everyone around me that is struggling so that they can acknowledge me and then I can get what I deserve. I did, folks. I did. I'm guilty of it. And it wasn't until recently that I came to finally hit that wall and say, oh my God. From there, then, I started to realize about the energy of patience, the importance of having patience. So this is what I would do. I've always been known to be very patient with other people. But I could not be patient with myself. So I would take, anyone that was the biggest pain in the ass, and I could have all the patience in the world, but when it came to me, zero. And how did I show this? Well, I would have a situation with my partner, and what I would do was I would tap into spirit because, I have this ability to be very sensitive, very psychic, and have access to information. So I would tap into spirit and regain the understanding and the knowledge, and then I would go back to my partner and say, okay, this is this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this is what's going to happen, and this is what's going to come through. So, in other words, I couldn't wait. I couldn't give him the time to figure things out because my mind needed to have action right now. So what I would do is I would put all the information in his hand, make it super easy so that he never felt like he had to work or do anything to figure things out because it was figured out for him. But the downside of that is that after we would go through all of that, a week later or a month later, whenever he wanted to do something, even though he knew that didn't make me happy, he would do it anyways. Why? Because he knew that somehow I would work it out and I would fix it and he didn't have to do the work. I became a fixer. I was the perfect fixer. And I got so good at it, you guys. I created incredible stories to make everything right. Why wouldn't a person would want to be would want to be with me in that way? It was so easy. So what I understood is that many of these men that I started to attract in my life were takers because I did not know how to receive. I used to say, I'd rather be in a place to give than to receive. And I was very proud of that. And the truth is that many of those people that were willing to give me, I wouldn't take from them. So eventually they faded from my life and I started to attract this wonderful man, very charming in the beginning, very willing. And then after a while they would turn into a fucking dragon because they were something else. And the one thing that they were really good at was in taking. But why? Because one, I needed validation. Two, I didn't have the patience to wait and give them the time to work things out. So I would do it for them. Why would they have to do anything? So when I started to understand the importance of patience, I thought, shit, this is not cool. So with that energy, something else, another awareness came, and it was the energy of affluence. And when I heard that word, I really liked it. And when I heard the meaning, I liked it even more. Affluence talks about things coming to you. And I said, I want that. I want to begin to have things come to me because I'm tired of always having to be the one investing all of my energy in creating stuff. And at the end, things fall apart. And at the end, I'm not being appreciated. So one of the things that I had to understand in order to create this flow of affluence through patience was that spirit communicates very different than our mind. My inner intuition communicates by giving me pieces of the puzzle. My mind loves to know everything yesterday, but my spirit, my soul, in the way that it talks to me is by giving me a little bit here and a little bit there, because it creates a series of conditions that, as you're patient and pay attention, you start gathering that information, which allows you to either have the opportunity to go on or to let it go. So when I thought, well, I can work with affluence, I have to then cultivate patience. So what can I do while I am being patient, while my mind is saying, but nothing is happening, look, the world keeps moving and you're here and nothing is moving, you're not getting anything of what you want, because this is the stories of the mind. And this is when I started to feel like, well, I want to take this time and see it as I'm taking time out to nurture myself. And how am I going to do that? Well, when I'm having an emotion that is making me feel tension or anxious, that is the sign that a part of me needs love, needs affection. So instead of calling the friend that I know that is always needing motivation and uplifting and getting caught up in the drama, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to be my own friend. I'm going to offer that part of me all that unconditional love and support that I have given for years to other people, and at the end, they didn't appreciate it. Or maybe they did, but so what? So I started to do that. I started to just honor my pain, be in my pain. And what I started feeling was that pain would dissipate. It would just go away. And then the mind would start creating a story. And then I would start, paying attention to the conversations of my mind. And I would see that my mind was being very negative. So even though the pain was gone, but my mind was creating all these little stories to make me just feel bad. And this is when I started working with my mind and saying, okay, I appreciate you. And, it's very insightful what you're saying, but no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it totally the opposite. So I started having, if you would have seen me, you would have laughed because you would have thought, oh, she's gone mad. But I knew that there was a tag of war between me, and I needed to end that. I needed to merge these two energies and help them understand that my light and my shadow are very much needed in order for me to harmonize my personality. And of course, this took some time. So then, this is when I started to see and enjoy taking the time of not having to do anything or fix anything or run to people that, I was always supporting, that, I can just support myself. And what I noticed was that the universe started to show me how things were unfolding in front of me in an incredible way. Things started to come to me. My intuition became more clear. I was able to have a better understanding of my, spirit and how it communicated to me, how it was guiding me. And I became more on point, being able to intuitively understand the people that came my way, what they were wanting from me. And this is when I then realized about what compassion was, because this is a big one. We're programmed to believe that what makes us good people is our willingness to give. So you always, hear everyone saying, I want to be of service. And that was me too. And we think that compassion it's about always giving, The more you give, the more compassionate and good-hearted you are, and that's bullshit. It is true that giving is wonderful, especially when you know who you are. If you know who you are and you know your motives, and then giving is a beautiful act. But when you're coming from a place of unworthiness and you want to be validated and you give, that doesn't help anyone. Doesn't help the person, nor doesn't it help you. And that's what I had to learn. That compassion sometimes was about holding my power and being able to see whether the person that was coming my way could benefit or not. Of course, what allows me to now be able to see what, when people come into my life, whether, how we can interact, is when I started to work with my shadow side. So integrating those parts of me had made me whole, and from that wholeness allows me to vibrate a particular energy that when people come to me, especially those that are seeking help, I'm able to help them without having to do anything. Because if a person is ready to make the change and you're holding your ground, that person will benefit by just being next to you. But if it's one of those takers, one of those people that have gotten used to complain, and they're always asking for help, but they never do anything, no matter what you do, it's going to help that person. No matter what you do. And that's what I was doing. No wonder I was always feeling exhausted. I get a lot of clients sometimes that they tell me, I am so exhausted because I have given so much to this man and he doesn't appreciate me. Well, of course, you have helped him to get used to do nothing. And the more you do and the more you'll give, the less he's going to appreciate you, because you're not helping that person learn their lesson or his lesson in the way they're supposed to. So compassion, then I understood that it was not always about giving, that you can truly, be compassionate by understanding that the world is not broken or it needs healing, that you have no control over anything or anyone except yourself. And that there are people that are walking in front of you, some behind you, and some side by side, but we are all doing the same work. And we're learning in our own way. And whatever way we decide to learn is okay. But we're not broken. We're just learning how to understand who we are, learning through, our imbalances, how to create harmony. And this is the whole process. This is what we're doing right now. So as you can see, these 4 months have been just as intense as ayahuasca, but not as accelerated, I should say. And what is great about it is that I've been able to do it on my own. And that to me says a lot, because I feel like we always creating attachments. We're always trying to find ways so that we don't have to do our work, so that we we get complacent. And to me, to be able to do this work without having to do ceremony, it feels wonderful. Of course, it didn't always feel that good. It wasn't until 3 days ago that I started to feel this great. But to be able to become aware that actually the work doesn't end and it's just a matter of whether you're paying attention. I mean, it really is. It's a matter of whether you're paying attention or not. But for me, it's just been life-changing. I now feel like I'm ready to do more ayahuasca. I feel like there's no rush. I am projecting, from this perspective now, I can project into the future and see with clarity what I see myself going and doing, and that's a good thing. I don't feel like I'm rushed in the way that I used to. I feel more at ease with myself. I feel like I lost a lot of fears. I also see that more people are coming my way without me having to look for them. That more of the projects that I wanted to create are coming into fruition naturally. Yeah, and it's kind of effortless. So having the clarity of knowing what I want, it took me a while. But now it's fun to see that I've created this connection with my intuition, and that I am able to, know when to move and when not to, when to follow an impulse and when not to. That not every man that comes my way I have to engage in a relationship. That I mean, it's just so many things that have become clear. And also to know that I don't have to hold these memories in my vibrational fields that are no longer serving me. So I have changed a lot of belief systems when it comes to relationships. And of course, at some point, I need to put that into practice. But in the meantime, I'm enjoying myself and I'm loving myself. And there's still challenges that come up. It doesn't mean that I'm free of them, but I'm just more aware, and through that unconditional love, I'm able to feel very good about myself. And also, I don't have to create this experiences that create so much suffering and resistance in order for me to get something, because I finally get it. I finally get it. I finally know how it was that I was attracting these people. So, my friends, all I can tell you is that if you decide to choose to do ayahuasca, it's tough work. She's a tough mom, but she's amazing. And just know that the work you're going to do with her is going to be about the shadow side, your shadow side. Just know that your mind can be your best friend and your worst enemy. So once you decide to make this work, your mind may just go haywire and try to get you to stop. But persevere, and you'll see how you'll get incredible results. Also, make sure that you find the right people to do the work. That's very important. So if you have any questions, you can email me at createharmonywithlove@gmail.com. And please don't forget to love yourself. See you next time.